Hey, world, being able to come back live a little later than I expected, but we're gonna put a little work in tonight, fam. I wanted to talk about a couple of things tonight. What's up, Lando? Talk about a couple of things tonight, family, that can really benefit you. Um, like I said, a lot of information I'm gonna talk about is stuff that a lot of people already know, but really don't do the due diligence and benefit from the things that are already out there for us to take advantage of. And the first thing, family, is credit. I don't know how many guys out there that you know really monitor your credit, but for the young audience in the garden, take care of your credit while you're young. Don't mess your credit up. And one of the main things you can do to mess your credit up is to get credit cards, loans, and stuff like that that you don't need that can affect you down the road, down the way. And I say that because in college age students, young adults, you guys get in a situation where these credit cards, student loans, they become albatross around your neck after you've already trying to if you're trying to establish yourself. So if you can avoid getting these credit cards and student loans, then that would be the first thing of trying to establish a nice future when it comes to establishing your credit. Those two things will kill you, family. And if you don't know anything about Credit Karma, Credit Karma is the site where you can actually monitor your credit, and it gives you your scores with TransUnion and your scores with Equifax. Now the third one is Experian, but having access to your credit scores, you know, anytime you want, is a benefit that I don't think a lot of people take advantage of. Once again, Credit Karma is a site where you can actually monitor your credit, and there are a lot of things in your credit report that you can kind of take care of right now, especially if you're young and you haven't already, put yourself in a situation where your credit is in the 600s and the 500s or 400s for that matter. If that's the case, there are certain things that you can do to improve your credit because remember, if your credit ain't right, your money not gonna be tight. It's just not gonna happen, and that's on purpose. Credit is used to price or keep certain individuals out of the loop, but it's voluntary. You can actually take advantage of your credit by, you know, not being this so-called consumer that everyone in America seems to feel like they have to be. There's only one way that you can become financially conscious, and that's totally eliminating all the hedonistic things that go on in our society. And why do I say that? The majority of Americans are expected to be consumers. Anytime the government depends on you to spend your money so that the economy can be viewed as a booming economy or a good economy, that tells you right there, Jasmine, what's going on? That tells you right there that something is amiss. If the government depends on the citizens to be purchasers or consumers in order for this government, in order for the economy to be, vibrant, that tells you that there's only a small percentage of people that doesn't fall into that category. 90% of individuals are expected to be consumers. That's why they give you credit cards like candy at a young age. That's why, you know, when you go to college, they give you loans that they know you can't pay back because you will eventually be what they call a career consumer or a career debtor. And as long as you have someone that always owes you money, you can always be in the money. And if you always owe someone money, it's going to be hard for you to attain that. Okay? And so, first thing first, family, once again, thanks for joining me in the garden. And make sure you hit the like button and make sure you hit the notification button. I know it's kind of difficult out there to get these notifications, but appreciate you being here in the garden with me. Hey, Joyce, how you doing? So, like I say, your credit is basically your lifeline to wealth. And the reason why I said it because you can't attain wealth without capital. And it's hard to attain capital, which is money, if you're not in a credit uh, beneficial situation. Because getting good credit, you can gain capital by, like I said in my last videos, by gaining good debt. What's good debt? Good debt is anything that you're going to get from someone where you're going to be able to turn that debt into an asset. All right? Turn that debt into an asset. And you can do that by establishing your credit, making sure your credit is tight, and having these banks give you loans that you can establish your wealth with. All right. Now, if you're seeing the title, the title says credit, your credit information and who benefits from negative interest rates. Family, negative interest rates are what's happening here pretty soon. The Federal Reserve is about to cut interest rates by 25 basis points. What that means is right now, we are like, their interest rates are 0.50%. Well, the Federal Reserve is going to cut that 25 basis point. So where the interest rate is going to be at 0.25%. Was they already said that they want to cut interest rates two more times. And if they do that, that means we're going to be in what they call negative interest rate territory, which means banks are literally going to be paying you for them to give you loans. Okay? Yeah. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity, family, because if interest rates are so low, and I talked about this in earlier videos, if interest rates are very, very low right now, to the point where it's going to be negative interest rates, then if you have good credit right now, you can take advantage of it. Okay, see, those that can take advantage of negative interest rates are those who have good credit, that have the opportunity to go in there and have banks pay you to give you money. Because, see, what's going to happen is that the flip side of that is now you know if your monies are your monies are in savings accounts with Wells Fargo or Chase or any of these other banks is only giving you 0.1% or less on your money. That means they're going to pay you even less for depository accounts. So what does that mean? You're going to basically losing money putting your money in a savings account, if they lower interest rates. But on the flip side of that, these same banks that are giving you low interest rates or pennies on the dollar for your money to be in a savings account, they charging you 14, 15, 16% on credit cards. So you see how banks make their money. They don't make their money by, paying us interest for us having deposits. They make their money by paying us little interest on deposits and charging us high interest on credit cards. So who's winning? You'll never win that game if you let them take advantage of you in that regard. And so getting these credit cards charging you 15, 16, 17% interest, but then they're only giving you 0.05 or 0.03% interest on a savings account, it's not adding up. Okay? And Jazz has a great question. What if you have bad credit? Then the first thing you need to do is establish yourself in a disciplined mindset where that credit can go from bad to good. It doesn't happen overnight. And so what happens when you have bad credit, you can get frustrated. And what do you normally do? Put yourself in more debt. Okay? So if you have bad credit, the first thing I would do if I were your family would be to register with Credit Karma. Okay? Start monitoring your credit on a regular basis. Start looking at some of the things that's on your credit. And one of the things that you can do, family, to improve your credit is, one, understand how the credit system works. If you have creditors that's on your credit report, let's say, for instance, you owe AT&T, but you know that on your credit report it's not AT&T and it's the collection agency. Well, do not answer your phone. Do not identify yourself as the person with that debt. Because once you identify yourself as the person, then that debt is going to stay on your credit 7 more years. Okay? You can always dispute it. And one of the features on Credit Karma that I really like is that, family, you can dispute a lot of these negative accounts that's on your credit. Dispute them. And one way you can dispute them is say they don't belong to you. Now, word of advice, if someone calls you and you know that you don't have any account with this particular company, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the collection agency that's going to purchase your debt from the original creditor. And so when they purchase your debt from the original creditor, they purchase it on pennies on the dollar. So you have some options, family. You don't have to just pay all this debt off from all these bad delinquent accounts. There are options. You can dispute them. Okay, you can wait 7 years till they fall off. Okay, but if you want to establish good credit now, you also can make sure that you don't develop worse credit by trying to get credit from these people that's checking your credit. And what does that mean? Those are hard inquiries. Anytime someone checks your credit report, it goes on your credit score as an inquiry, whether it's a hard inquiry or soft inquiry. Those inquiries affect your credit score. And so when you're trying to buy a car, or you're buying a house, or you're trying to establish some credit by trying to get loans, understand that every time you do that, they dig in your credit report by inquiries. Okay? True, Jack, let me see what you said, buddy. How about writing negative reports on them? Right? But seriously, there are ways to get around it. And like I say, when these negative inquiries, these hard inquiries, they stay on your report 1 to 2 years. Right? So if you can avoid, trying to establish credit by all these different institutions, that can alone improve your credit score. If you have a lot of delinquent accounts in your credit report, you can dispute them. If you have people calling that you don't recognize the number, don't answer the phone. Do not identify yourself as the person, because then you let them know that account belongs to you. And so guess what? That's another 7 years that's going to be on your credit. Wow. See, family, tripping on the notifications. Thank you, Tish, for letting me know that. Thank you for being involved. Okay? So it's not going to happen, family, if you don't get your credit tight. And so many people, they have this, this notion that you just become rich, by not having any money. It's not going to happen. You can't even establish wealth without money, but you can establish your wealth by establishing your credit. And that's something that you can do yourself. But you have to give yourself time. You have to tell yourself, okay, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that in a timely fashion, and you got to stick to it. Establishing credit, building credit is a time process. It's not going to happen overnight. Okay, and one of the main reasons why we as Americans have terrible credit is because we have this hedonistic mindset, because the system we live in has propagandized spending so much that our sensory pleasures are not met unless we what? Purchasing items, okay? Gadgets, okay? Social media, all right? And entertainment. Those three things, social media, gadgets, and entertainment, are things that actually keep us from being in a more financially literate situation. Because think about it, throughout the week, you're working all week, right? And then at the weekend, what happens? You want to go buy yourself something nice, or you want to go do something nice. You want to go somewhere nice. But at the same time, these same pleasures can also put you in a bad situation if you're not paying yourself first, developing a fund for those entertainment purposes, and not letting that affect your normal wage money. All right. So, family, like I say, establishing good credit, maintaining good credit, and if you're young right now, family, please, credit is your lifeline to wealth. Don't fall for the game of getting these credit cards, because they're just gonna give them to you. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for the notion of having to, be purchasers and consumers. There's nothing wrong with, establishing wealth first and then enjoying the pleasures of life, not from a consumer standpoint. Okay. So once again, family, if you haven't done so, if you don't know about it, Credit Karma. Register with Credit Karma so you can, monetarily, on a regular basis, check your credit score. And you have access to two other unions. You have access to TransUnion, and you have access to Equifax. All right? And those two things right there, family, on a regular, It's something that if you develop that discipline of just monitoring your credit weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, then you're on your way to establishing wealth. It's not going to happen any other way than that, man. Unless you win the lottery or something like that. But even still, how many of you guys know anybody's won the lottery? That alone is a scam. Okay. And if you are buying lottery tickets every month, wow, that could be money in your IRA, or that could be money going toward an annuity, something that you're gonna get in the future. Okay. So like I say, family, check their credit. Understand we are gonna be going into negative interest rates soon. And what does that mean? Who benefits from it? You can benefit from it if you get your credit tight, or if you have great credit. You can benefit from it if you're in a situation right now where you're looking into real estate, you're looking into purchasing property, because these interest rates are going to be so low that there are going to be great opportunities out there. Now, on the flip side of that, this is a seller's market. Let's not sleep on the status of its economy. This economy is a bubble. The mortgages, the stock markets, the bond markets, the derivatives markets, all of it is right now overvalued. But you see how it's somewhat of a conundrum, because we have all these low interest rates going on. It's normally a great opportunity to gain some assets. So like I say, if you're in a situation right now where you can do your due diligence and do the research and get you some real estate, it'd be a great opportunity. But at the same time, this bubble is about to explode and bust. So why not sit on the sideline, prepare yourself? Because see, 3 ways you can prepare yourself for this recession, because family, it's going to happen. Is to pay yourself first, build an emergency fund, family. Remember, if over, and you got to ask yourself, where do you get these numbers from? If over 70% of Americans can't afford a $1,000 emergency, then it tells you right there that emergency funds are not being taken seriously, and you're not paying yourself first. We live in check to check. You did? So when this market crashes, prices are going to skyrocket. And this kind of gives you kind of prelude to what's going to happen here in the next year or two. I mean, if you're looking at things from a geopolitical standpoint, we know it's not going to crash before the election. We know that. So the 2020 election is going to go. Once the 2020 election is over, that's when the market is going to probably pretty much crash. And when it does crash, those that are contributing to 401ks and 403bs and you're not paying attention to them, my heart goes out to you, because I promise you, you're going to lose 40, 50% of your money. And if you're my age or older, or if you're in the 40s, you can't afford that type of loss. So do your due diligence. Check out your retirement pension plans and find out where your money's going. Whether cash over credit and gold over cash, okay, I can dig that. But can you take the gold to the store and buy something? The only reason I'm not an advocate of gold, because, like I said, it's a Ponzi scheme. Now, would I buy gold if I had a lot of wealth and I wanted to kind of hedge against what's going to happen? Yes, because those that are deciding the price of gold know what's happening. And right now, what's people doing right now? They're buying gold. The wealthy is buying gold. The wealthy is, last I checked, the whole month of August, family, there was $600 million of stock being sold off every day in August. The regular consumer, the regular investor isn't selling off millions of dollars of stocks. Those only the rich people doing it. Why are they doing it? Because they know that this recession is going to happen, and they're putting themselves in cash. So true, no doubt, putting yourself in cash right now would be a great opportunity. Would be a smart team. Gold, okay, but someone else is dictating the price of gold, just like someone else is dictating the price of stock market, just like someone else in your neighborhood has messed up the value of your house because they sold it for $50,000 less than it's supposed to be sold for, or they sold it for $50,000 more. So that basically mess up your property value in your neighborhood and makes your house's value go up and down like that. So when you know the system is dictating that and it's nothing constant, then all you do is just start paying attention to the indicators. And what the indicators tell you is that in this type of fiat system, there's going to be boom markets and there's going to be bear markets. Man, there's going to be good times and bad times. That's the only way this type of economy can work. Family, since 1913, it's been like that. Since the 1870s, it's been like that. So those that's in the know can become wealthy. Every time this happens, there's always a transfer of wealth. But we are the ones that always miss out because think about it. I'm 50. I missed out on the 2008. I missed out in 2000. I missed out in 99. I missed out in 1987. These are all four major recessions during my lifetime that I was totally oblivious to. Okay. Now I'm just thinking, imagine if I would have been oblivious to or conscious of this financial knowledge back in 2008 or back in 2000. Okay. Like now, what I'm trying to do now is spread this food for thought to give the family in the garden this knowledge of knowing that why not us have a transfer of wealth and get ourselves in a situation where our kids can have assets, not just bank accounts, but assets, real estate assets, stocks, bonds, derivatives, stuff that we can attain by just doing a couple small things, by improving your credit, getting your credit tight. Okay, and people say about I'd rather be in cash and gold. Yes, I can dig it, but you want to flip that cash and gold to assets, hard assets. Okay, because see, cash goes up and cash goes down. The Federal Reserve determines how much your cash is worth. So when you know that's the case, then the best possible opportunity to gain wealth is to get it in hard assets, real estate. Okay. Bonds that are going to pay you interest, stocks that are going to pay you dividends. All right? And so there are sectors out there, family, that's going to be pretty lucrative pretty soon. So this economy that President Trump says is a booming economy, family, it's on the ropes. And while it's on the ropes, a lot of people are going to suffer, but then again, a lot of people are going to gain wealth as well. No doubt, Scorpio. Entrepreneurship, paper, commodities, no doubt. No doubt. What basically Scorpio is just saying is diversity. No one can actually gain real wealth if you don't have a diverse portfolio, meaning you have cash, you have real estate, you have paper assets as in stocks and bonds, right? And then commodities. And that's stuff that, everyone needs to have at one point in their life to be able to build wealth, not just for your immediate family, but for generations. See, we're talking generational wealth and not being rich. Stuff that, you get paid in your sleep, all right? And that's one of the things that you want to try to do. So establish credit, family. Negative interest rates are coming. Take advantage of it if you can, right? And then just a little history, family. 1919, 1921, 1923 were dates that, we've had some horrendous actions against Afro-melanated people. If you don't know what happened in 1919, family, in Chicago, there was a huge race riot in Chicago, resulting in a lot of people being killed, right? In 1921, of course, that's in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where, there were a lot of Afro-melanated people killed due to the successes of Afro-melanated people back then. And then, of course, in 1923 in Rosewood, Florida, there were a lot of lives lost. Successes from Afro-melanated people that was frowned upon. So we're talking over 100 years ago, there was wealth being built in America by Afro-melanated people. This same mindset that they had back then by building wealth is a mindset that's been lost. And the lost mindset comes from not having the knowledge of being able to build the wealth. And building the wealth, family, starts not just by getting a job and being an employee. The mindset has to change to more of an entrepreneurial mindset opposed to an employee mindset. And I talk to the students today at school about that. I talk to them about that all the time. Building wealth will never happen by being an employee. Okay? We were not put on this earth to be employees, to just work for others. I mean, I did a video earlier today by asking yourself, are you being your true you? Can you be you? Every day, every minute of the day. And if not, then you're really not where you want to be. If you can't be your true self, then your purpose in life hasn't been met yet. I mean, you need to be able to go to sleep every night with a great conscience and wake up every morning with a great conscience. And it doesn't happen if you can't be your true self. All right? Look at King Sabbath. Okay? So, like I said, I just want to come in for a couple of minutes, talk about a couple of things. Just joining me, family, we talked about credit, the importance of credit for my younger audience in the garden. Family, do not mess your credit up. Okay? Wait on these sensory pleasures. They're not going anywhere. All right? Cars, homes, all that kind of stuff. Build your credit, build your wealth. And I promise you, it's never too early to build wealth. And it's never too late to correct it. You did? So, family, make sure you look into that. Credit Karma is a great resource where you have an opportunity to be able to monitor your credit on a regular basis for free, right? And another benefit of Credit Karma is that, now, like I say, nothing's free, right? But it's as close to free as possible to being able to build your credit, because once you start building your credit, Credit Karma has contract with all of these different entities. Now, talk about not getting credit cards because of the predatory rates that they offer. But at the same time, you're going to have to do something to establish your credit, okay? And so just having negative accounts on your credit score is not going to help you. You did? So make sure that you look into that. Like I say, one thing that's going to always kind of keep us in the shadows is the voluntary servitude that the people in power can rely on. Remember, I don't know if you ever read the book by Orson Welles, 1984, and a book by A. Huxley called A Brave New World. Well, these are two books written by two authors that had two totally different concepts of our servitude. Remember, historically speaking, the so-called slavery time was one of the most horrific times in America's history, allegedly. But then, you go from slavery to voluntary servitude. And if you haven't read Orson Welles or H.G. Wells' 1984, this book pretty much had this dire prophecy of America in the West, meaning that the elite was going to take over, and it was going to be like a totalitarian society where you had to follow the rules, and if you didn't follow the rules, you were punished. And there was a totalitarian government, right? Well, Brave New World by A. Huxley had the same mindset, but from a different perspective. His mindset was, no, the government's not going to have to forcefully have people do what they say. What the government is going to do is basically give them sensory pleasures, and the people will voluntarily give up their freedoms for sensory pleasures. Now let's look at today. The internet, social media, cell phones. Ask yourself a question. How long can you go without your cell phone? How long can you go without watching the television? How long can you go without shopping? You did? So 1984 was a prelude to our society today, but Brave New World is more of an accurate depiction because the government doesn't have to do anything to force us to give up our freedoms, because we give up our freedoms voluntarily. I mean, think about it from a wealth standpoint. We let the banks basically just take our money with savings accounts, and we let the banks basically take our money by giving us predatory credit cards and charging us 15, 18, 19% interest, and we still take them. Okay, we let the banks charge us 200, 300, hundreds of thousands of dollars for mortgages, right? But ask yourself, if you own a home, if you've ever bought a home, when you signed the promissory note to pay the $150,000 or $200,000 back to the bank, because it's a promissory note that you have to sign. When you walked out of there, did you leave with $150,000 or $200,000? No, you didn't. You left telling the bank that you're going to pay them this amount plus interest over a 30 or 15-year period. The banks never gave you a dime. But guess what they did do? They sold your mortgage to another bank. Okay? And got paid 2 or 3 times over, as well as insured your mortgage, because they don't know whether you're going to pay it back. Are you going to default or go into foreclosure? So they've already made their money 3, 4, 5 times over. But you still stuck with a mortgage for 30 years with interest? See, that's voluntary servitude. So if you didn't have a chance, family, 1984 and Brave New World are 2 books that I highly recommend, because if you read those books, it'll give you a notion or give you an idea of the society you live in and how people like myself, are frowned upon because you're talking about stuff that's going to make you more conscious or have you think analytically and critically think and not just believe everything they tell you. Okay? Politically and religiously are the tools they use to keep us in what they call a servitude state of mind. Bread and circus. Okay? Just give them cake. Okay? So we start behind the 8 ball as it is, because those that are in power make sure that to gain wealth, there is a certain vernacular that you must know. There are certain things that you must know. And if you don't know those things, it's not going to happen. Okay? So, family, thanks for joining me in the garden. Like I said, if you had the opportunity to like, share, subscribe, make sure you do that. In the meantime, between time, may the Most High to bring you joy and being with us out of 5,000. Thanks, family, for joining me.